the money you lost is the tuition you paid to learn this lesson. I thought that was really interesting. And I think that that applies in our world all the time.
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
Right now, while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
We took our notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies led Craig and I to selling more than $10 million in premium in the last 2 years.
On this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the same results.
Just go to live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
If you jump on this call with us, we're certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there.
Hello there. This is Craig Pretzinger, and this is another agency playbook. I believe it's Playbook 40, but our numbers could be mixed up. At any case, just got back from a week-long conference, super pumped. It was really good. It was one of our marketing groups that we're in, kind of high-ticket coaching group that we joined, both Jason and I, and we spent a week out away from the families and really diving in, learning, and honing some of our processes here that we could apply both in the Teledudes business and also, of course, in our agencies. So lots of great stuff, and I'm sure that some cool ideas are going to come out of that. Something struck me, though, that was a big motif at the event overall. And I think that a lot of these events that you go to, especially in the big group, you're looking at a lot of motivation, right? Trying to get you pumped up and really kind of regain that focus. That's one reason I love going to events, because they just bring that energy back. Sometimes we're working so hard, we're pushing so hard, we're solving problems all day long that it can really kind of take the wind out of our sails. And these events, getting out of the office and really focusing on working on the business, are really beneficial. So I love that. And thank all the folks over where we went for such a great experience. Something that came out of it, though, besides the mindset, interesting story. One of the members in our inner circle group that we're in told a story where he's got a big heart, wanted to help somebody out. Apparently, this guy isn't a great dude. Not the guy that I'm talking about, but there's another guy that reached out to one of the members and said, "Hey, I'm in a pickle. I got arrested for something. Not sure what it was. I don't think it really matters." But he asked this guy to pay for his bail. It was a few $1,000s, $4,000, something like that. And he paid it. Like, he said that he wasn't feeling good about it. I'm not even sure that he even really knows this guy, but somehow they were connected on Facebook, this and that. Well, the guy gave a big story, and I think he may have had ties to this group at some point. But the moral of the story is the guy basically gave him a fancy watch, said, "Here, would you do it?" And then promptly, once he was out, did not pay and said that he's going to file a police report for our friend taking that watch. So a lot of things here, right? He went with his heart instead of his brain on this one. And apparently there were some other folks telling him, don't do it. But he did it anyway because he felt like he needed to. And he came to us asking for advice, what he should do. And somebody replied with the most amazing quote. So that was a pretty long setup to give this quote, which they said, "The money you lost is the tuition you paid to learn this lesson." I thought that was really interesting. And I think that that applies in our world all the time, and tied both mindset and this lesson in together. I like to think of that because what we do here as agents, right? We search for the thing that's going to help us get the results that we want, right? A lot of times we just go about searching for something without even creating the goal, then working backwards, which is what I used to do a lot. Now that we've landed on a strategy that's been consistent for a few years here, we're all in on that. And there really isn't any more of the search. Now it's optimizing, right? Optimizing what we're currently doing with the telemarketers and the leads and all the stuff that we do to drive the business. And it's still working. It's been working great. And there's no reason to change any of that. But it didn't always work great, right? It didn't always work great. So there was the learning process, right? Really if you go back, way back, you go back to the time before I even met Jason and we started the podcast and started interviewing people and really put the pieces together. For years, since internet leads existed, I would off and on buy internet leads, right? And I don't know if everybody else has had a similar experience, but I do know that I would buy the leads. I would then call them or try to call them, a few times. Wouldn't get a hold of anybody. A few, once we get through all the leads of the money that we'd invested, and I wouldn't call it investing. I'd call it, at that time, I'd call it cost, right? Expense. We would then have those poor results and eject, right? So there really wasn't a great process behind it, which obviously now we've figured out is 99% of it is just having that process in place. So there's enough dials, so there's enough contacts, so there's enough transfers, so there's enough quotes, so the whole pipeline works. And that all comes from working backwards. But I look at all those years, and then the year that we actually started to really heavily invest in internet leads, it didn't just work all of a sudden, right? We didn't realize there was such a ramp up time. You have to create that pipeline. We didn't realize how many dials it really took. You're in those double digits, well into the double digits before you're to that average of the leads that are going to close and just the sheer volume that you need, right? It all pencils, it all works out, and we get a good acquisition cost. But at first, it can seem pretty daunting. And so if I look at old Craig that bought the leads and then didn't get results right away and then said, you know what, this is the worst cost ever, it doesn't work. Versus new Craig who went through and knew that it worked from those interviews, knew that it worked, right? I saw it over and over and over again. We had all the pieces, we put it together. We followed all of the steps that we were supposed to, and it still didn't work, at least not yet. Right? Had we given up in those early stages, we never would have got to the result that we are at now, where we now have a machine that's working and just works, right? Now, the hunt for staff isn't as hard because we have an attractive system for them to come into. We have the training. We have all of the different pieces that make it easy, but we never would have got here had we not invested. Right? Now, notice the key distinguisher there. We actually invested in these leads and learned from it, right? So the cost of tuition, while it was steep because we probably spent, I don't know, we spent in six figures on leads and telemarketers before we really got it, right? Got it so far as we were able to create curriculum around it and establish baselines and know what needs to be hit. We spent in the six figures to get there. That was our tuition, right? That was our tuition to learn the lesson of how to create the telefunnel. So, I was just thinking about that as all of these different events unfolded, and how does that apply to what we do and to our agencies, and how can we take that and help agents? So I just like to leave you with having that thought in your mind about, I used to beat myself up. If I spent, I would say, I lost that money. Oh, I like to at least be aware that, okay, maybe it was lost, but did I learn a lesson from it, right? Did I pay that tuition? And I love that quote. I'm going to read it one more time for you. The money you lost is a tuition that you paid to learn this lesson. And you can substitute lost for invested, right? The money you invested is the tuition you paid to learn this lesson. And it's great, right? That's why we created all the different strategies and programs to help folks. And this podcast, of course, is time invested, which is even more valuable. So we applaud you for taking the time to listen to this. And I hope that it helps. If it does, shoot us a message. Shoot us over a message at dudes@theidudes.com. We'll say hi. But that is it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're watching this as a video short, do it. Come on, give us a subscribe. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.
Hey, what are you still doing here?
Well, while you're still here and while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
Yeah, if you weren't listening before, we took notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies did help Craig and I write over $10 million in premium in the last couple years.
And let me tell you, on this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the very same results.
Again, that's live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
And if you jump on with us, we are certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there.